All right, so now I'm going to teach you how do I make all of these lavender rows still kind of look like rows. And I'm going to start off with more or less what is just going to look like water. And I'm going to give myself a base coat of a violet. Okay, and each time I touch my paper, look at that. This is called wet on wet. And what I did is I painted my paper with water. And now I'm going to apply some violet to it. And all I had to do was touch, touch, touch the paper. Now I'm going to go in with a little red violet. And I'm going to do this entire area like that. Look at how I'm creating that variation in color. And then remember, this area is moving into the background. And in the background, we're seeing less and less details. And all of the colors are starting to come together.
Pay attention, Jack.
And then what I'm going to do next is I'm going to let it dry just a bit so that I can go in with what's going to look like the rows in the painting. So I'm just going to let that dry a little bit. And while I'm letting this row of lavender dry, I'm going to work on the sky. So let's take a look at the sky there. I'm not going to be painting that green row or those mountains yet. I'm going to start with the sky. Sure, you could probably grab some paint that is just a solid blue, and you can paint the whole thing and make it look just one color blue. I'd like to show you how to do a lift. Do me a favor, Carson. Would you grab me a paper towel, please? Now I'm going to grab some blue, and I'm going to mix up some water with my blue because I don't want it to be overpowering. So what I'm going to do is I am going to wet my brush, and I'm going to wet the paper. My water is obviously colored. I am not touching that purple that I have in the middle, that violet. But I am just avoiding that area, and right now I'm just putting on a little water, which my water dish has a lot of violet and a little bit of blue in there. And now I'm going to touch my blue paint, and I'm going to touch, touch, touch that on my paper. Again, this is wet on wet technique. And I'm just applying it. And then once I've gotten some of that blue on there, I'm going to actually, for me, I prefer that it has a little more pigment and that it doesn't look like dots. We don't see dots in the sky, that's for sure. And I'm also going to create a light source from the right side of my, left side of my paper is actually where the light source is. So I'm going to start to add just a tiny bit of yellow, tiny bit of yellow. Not a lot, just a little bit. Which is going to give it a little bit of a green look. Oh man, it's a little too heavy. I'm going to blend that a little bit more. I just want a tiny bit of yellow. And what I'm showing is that the light source is kind of coming from the left side of my paper. And also what I'm going to do once this is all dry is I'm going to begin painting in those mountains in the distance. The only thing that bothers me about those mountains in the distance is they look so perfectly spaced apart. And I don't care for that at all. So I'm going to create some variation in those mountains in the distance. Right now, I can't do anything but wait for my paper to dry. So I'm going to stop the video and come back in just a minute.